Let her have fun. My parents blamed me for calling police on my sister. She destroyed my property. I pressed charges. Now she is facing jail time. Somehow calling the police because family comes first made me the villain. I never imagined inheriting a mansion would end my family relationship. We're here. This 4-story Victorian has original hardwood floors that shine like honey in the afternoon. Stained glass windows with intricate floral designs fill spaces with rainbow colors when the sun hits them. For decades, my mother-in-law had lovingly maintained a large garden. She had rose bushes, a vegetable garden, and a little apple-pear orchard. They say the house had. So, when she contacted 4 weeks ago to utilize the estate for her bachelorette celebration, I knew my response. My phone buzzed at work with her name flashing. Our last conversation was months ago when I rejected to be a bridesmaid because I couldn't afford her $2,000 outfit. When I answered, she said, "Hey," with phony sweetness. "How's everything with the new house?" "It's fine," I responded wearily, expecting the question. "What's up?" "I'm calling about my bachelorette party. I was thinking you have that gorgeous home still empty, and it would be ideal. We wouldn't screw things, just one night with 20 girls. Nothing crazy." Her 21st birthday party ended with a car in the pool and $2,500 in damages. Her college graduation party had 4 police calls. The last party at my parents' house required professional cleaners and new carpeting. "No, are you serious? It's my bachelorette party. This is supposed to be one of the most important nights of my life, and you're just going to say no without even thinking about it?" I replied, keeping my voice level, even though my heart was racing with anticipation of confronting her. "The house isn't available for events, but there are plenty of other venues you could rent." "Other venues cost money," she snapped, the sweetness evaporating like water on a hot skillet. "You have this massive house sitting there empty, collecting dust, and you won't let your sister sleep in it. What kind of sister would do that?" "The kind who learns from past experience." I wanted to say the kind who's tired of being treated like a doormat and has watched you destroy everything good in your life and refused to take responsibility for it. Instead, I kept my voice low and tried to maintain familial diplomacy. She hissed. "Unbelievable. You get this." My mother was unhappy, my father was stern, and my sister called back crying. The messages varied from disappointed to accusatory to hostile in tone. I was selfish, spiteful, jealous, and a bad sister. I put my phone on silent and tried to ignore the knot in my stomach when my husband called from overseas that evening. The connection was spotty, but I managed to tell him the whole story. He sighed heavily and rubbed his face like he did when frustrated. "Your family," he said, not insultingly. "They always had boundary issues. You know that, right? This is textbook dysfunction." "That's mildly," I complained, pacing my small apartment living room. "Didn't I do the right thing? I'm not unreasonable because they're making me feel bad for refusing something fair." "Yes, you did right." Assurance came from him. "That house is yours and you know your sister. I heard your tales. Do not be pressured into something you'll regret. They're good at making you feel bad when you're the only one." Her sister won't let her use an empty house, so she needs to tell her pals it's not occurring. That affects her appearance. She looks that way, repeating incredulously. "Mom shouldn't have told anyone to utilize my property without permission." "That's not my issue. My mother said it's your problem now due to family aid." "Indeed, we do. You girls were raised to support each other by your father and me. I don't get this mindset." I wanted fun. I wanted tears. I stood there feeling the weight of 33 years of being responsible, disregarded, and expected to compromise while my sister did what she wanted. Mom's parties always go wrong. Every time you and Dad fix and pay for it every time, and she learns nothing. No more of that cycle. "Those were years ago," my mother said, waving her hand. "After that, she matured. Got him, she's marrying. No longer a reckless teen. She lost her job 2 months ago for being late and angry with. Mom is upset. You disappointed me and upset your sister." "Disappointed?" Even though my stomach was twisting, I repeated flatly, biting my sandwich. "Disappointed? Yes. Your sister could benefit from a free favor, but you're rejecting out of spite." "Dad, it's not spite. Preserving oneself isn't nothing. The property, responsibility, and liability are mine." He was positive nothing would go wrong. The certainty of years of denial. "Your mother and I will stay. We'll manage everything. We will leave the house how you left it." Overreacting to previous minor situations. They were awful. I was trying to be calm, but my voice rose. "Last party at your place cost $6,000 in damages. Event venue from her 21st birthday threatened lawsuit. Her college party was repeatedly policed. How is that okay? That was years ago, he said, repeating my mother. After that, she matured her wedding. She no longer acts wild. Let go of the past and help your sister succeed. Closed my eyes. I placed my fingers on my temples to relieve a headache. I disagree, Dad. I laid the phone down with shaky hands. Half-eaten sandwich in front of me, my hunger gone. After a while, calls and visits dwindled and ended. My parents offered to assist my sister choose a downtown event place with fair costs and good ratings. My sister coldly texted me, hoping I was delighted I made her special day worse. She'd work it out without me, as usual. I held firm through the guilt trip and passive-aggressive martyrdom. Mansion was off limits. No further comment, non-negotiable. I felt glad when her bachelorette party week arrived. The date was Saturday night, and I was working late at the office finalizing a presentation for a Monday morning investor meeting. It appears my sister rented a downtown loft, a hip industrial room with exposed brick and lofty ceilings. My mother stopped sending passive-aggressive voicemails about family devotion and how I'd regret being stubborn. We are investigating a noise complaint and suspected trespassing at your property. Do you know this address is hosting a party? Room spins. White knuckles grabbed my desk edge. What? No. People shouldn't be there. House is meant to be uninhabited. Must be empty and locked. Madam, there are 40 persons enjoying a bachelorette party who claim to have permission from the owner to use the property for a private celebration. Noise from loud music and people in the backyard was reported by neighbors. Please confirm whether this event is approved or whether these people are trespassing on your land. 40 persons, not 20, as my sister first said. She didn't dodge my number. She had her party in my mansion nevertheless, and she had invited twice as many people as she had said. A physical blow from betrayal stole my breath. No, I cried, quivering with rage I could hardly control. No one has permission to be there. This is absolutely not authorized. That's my property and whoever is there is trespassing. They broke in. This is a crime. Okay, ma'am. We'll handle it. Actually, she did it. Despite breaking into my property, my sister had her party. Disregard consequences. Rage and disbelief filled the next hours. After hanging up with the police, my mother called. 20 minutes later, she shouted at me that I had wrecked my sister's bachelorette celebration by contacting the police like a monster. They expelled everyone. Hysterical, she screamed, your sister was cited. Her pals are ashamed. All reported on social media. The fiancé is upset. How can you be so cruel? How could Mom? She broke into my house without permission. She perpetrated a crime. You thought what would happen? We hoped you'd relax and reason. My mother yelled. We assumed you would realize it was just one night and let her use the silly house. We expected family-like behavior. I felt the words like freezing water. You said we, so you knew, I explained slowly and coldly. Her intent was obvious. It was inevitable that she would break into my house and host her party. I learned everything from my mother's silence on the phone. 3 heartbeats of silence. 4. 5. In silence, I heard the confession. No words came out of her mouth. Parents, sisters, acquaintances, and possibly her fiancé knew. The group determined my no didn't matter. My unreasonableness and drama, that my property could be used without my consent. They said my boundaries were ideas, not requirements. I'm leaving, I murmured, ending the phone before she could respond. I then blocked my parents' and sister's numbers. 3 taps made me unavailable to my closest loved ones. Finished. Finished forever. After finishing my presentation prep in a rage, I found forced entry on the back door when I got to the mansion that night. Someone broke the lock with a crowbar, splintering the wooden door frame where the bolt should have been. After pushing open the slightly ajar door, my heart sunk as I entered. I saw the crime scene of a hastily abandoned party. There were dozens of red plastic cups on the kitchen surfaces and in the sink. The marble countertops had empty cheap champagne and vodka bottles. Someone had pushed my mother-in-law's antique couch against the wall and rolled up her family's Persian rug to construct a dance floor in the main living room. The original wooden floors had heel imprints. Someone who danced in stilettos on 100-year-old wood left deep scrapes. Sticky drink spills discolored the kitchen island. I noticed makeup on the hand towels and vomit splatter that someone had half wiped up before giving up when I opened the downstairs bathroom door. The police record, which Officer Chen put on the kitchen counter, indicated they dispersed 40 people. The police arrived after the neighbors complained for nearly an hour. While sitting in the empty mansion surrounded by my sister's mess, which was a sign of her scorn for me, something broke inside me. I felt like I was finally freeing myself from a lifelong commitment, not heartbreak. The duty to care for someone who didn't care for me. To keep people who treated me like a resource rather than a person. Every broken lock, stain, scratch, and proof was photographed. At sunset, I sat on the mansion's front steps, called my husband overseas, and cried until I was dry. 4 days later, the bomb dropped. Dad called from another number. I got over my wall, and his voice was tight with panic and guilt. "We need to discuss," he said instantly. "All about the party development being fresh from betrayal," I said coldly. "I have nothing to say. You all knew her plan and allowed it. Her crime against me was enabled by you. No more discussion." He said there were drugs, rushing to speak them before losing his nerve. The cops seized many bags of marijuana at the party where 17 and 18-year-olds were drinking. Police took names, photographs, and reports. This is growing bigger than expected. Cut cables made my stomach plummet like an elevator. A second without breath. Not understanding what he was saying, I choked out. "What? Your sister invited girls from her kids who thought they were going to a fun party and ended up with police records." "That's not my problem," I said, trying to keep my voice steady as part of me recoiled at how callous it sounded. "I didn't invite anyone to that party and explicitly forbade it. I called the police on criminals who broke into my property." "But you called the police," my father said, as if I had done something wrong. "If you hadn't involved them, if you'd just let it go, the kids would have had fun and gone home without notice. But you had to escalate it, make it into this big federal case, and now everyone's lives are being ruined." The audacity of it, the mental gymnastics required to make me the villain, left me speechless. "If she hadn't broken into my property," I said, "there wouldn't have been anything for the police to find. If you and Mom hadn't enabled this behavior for her entire life, maybe she would have developed the judgment not to do any of this. Don't make this my fault. She made her choices. She can handle the penalties as an adult, but the settlements," my father continued. "Not my concern," I interjected. "You want to drain your retirement savings to bail her out again? That's your choice, but don't ask me to contribute or act otherwise." As expected, my father hung up on me this time, unable or unwilling to hear what I was saying. I didn't care anymore. Over the next week, I got the full story from a mutual friend, someone who had gone to high school with me and my sister, and still followed our family's drama on social media and the local gossip. But the biggest bombshell, which my friend told me, was that my sister's fiancé had called off the wedding. It appears that the party had been well documented on social media before the police arrived. Multiple attendees had been posting photos and videos to their stories, sharing snippets of the celebration for their followers. Sharpied friends, including some of the fiancé's friends, noticed my sister getting V. My sister initially laughed off the photos, saying she was drunk and having fun, and that her fiancé was being dramatic and jealous over nothing. Her fiancé, apparently not as oblivious or forgiving as she thought, had gone through her phone while she was sleeping, invaded her social media DMs, and found months of flirtatious messages with various men. Indications of emotional affairs that may have crossed into physical territory. Conversations with her personal trainer about meeting at his place when he wasn't busy, and with a former coworker about their one wild night together, and how they should do it again, show that she was hedging her bets even while planning their wedding. She sent messages to random guys from dating apps that she hadn't deleted even after getting engaged. The evidence was damning, showing she wasn't committed to the relationship. Her fiancé ended things immediately. He told her to pack her things, moved them into her parents' house while she was at work, changed the locks on their shared apartment, and blocked her on every platform. After hearing the full story, I couldn't blame him in the slightest. My friend, who got this information from my mother's sister, said my parents were devastated. My sister had a lifelong pattern of self-destructive behavior, burning through relationships and opportunities with equal enthusiasm. The legal fees and settlements were bankrupting my aunt, who had always been the more rational part of that generation, not just because of the broken engagement, though they'd already paid for a large portion of the wedding location and caterer. They spent over $50,000 fixing my sister's mess, paying off the minor's parents, covering her criminal defense attorney's fees, and dealing with property damage claims. My father's 40-year-old retirement fund was gone, and they took out a second mortgage on their house. As a result, my sister, the cause of all this financial devastation, had moved back into their house with no job, no prospects, no savings, and a criminal record that would make finding work exponentially harder. I felt a grim satisfaction knowing that for once in her life, my sister faced real consequences that couldn't be fixed with my parents' money or excuses. But my parents were frigid, numbing, and permafrost-like. They'd enabled her for years, continually bailing her out, making excuses, expecting me to tolerate her turmoil, and treating me like the problem when I refused. When I finally said no, when I drew a line in the sand and said this far and no further, they helped her commit a crime against me. They conspired with her to violate my boundaries and property rights. The message was clear. Their love had conditions, and I failed to meet them by refusing to be the family doormat and instead demanding respect and consideration. My husband returned from his business trip 2 weeks after the party incident, and I broke down telling him everything. I had been holding it together at work and in public, but when he walked through our apartment door and hugged me, I fell apart. "We're pressing charges," he said firmly once I'd calmed down enough to breathe. Not from sadness, but from the sheer stress of it all. Years of family dysfunction finally crushing down on me like an avalanche I'd been trying to outrun for 3 decades. Property damage, trespassing, and all charges, criminal and civil, are charged. Who cares if your folks think we're cruel? She must pay. Your parents should cease enabling her. Even if we have to financially ruin them to stop it, they'll never forgive me, I muttered, my voice still unsteady from crying. Good, he answered frankly, his jaw set in a manner that said he'd made up his mind and nothing would change it. Because you shouldn't. You were always rubbish to them. She always puts her first and expects you to sacrifice and shrink. Last straw. Finishing them. Completed. He was right. But knowing it didn't lessen the pain. I still felt the hollow aching in my chest where my family was. It's unclear how my sister got past building security to visit my flat a month after the celebration. Maybe she tailgate, but she was beating on my door at 9 p.m. yelling loudly enough for my neighbors to hear. "Open this door," she cried. I saw her rage-stained face through the peephole. I wanted to contact the police, so I opened the door a crack with the chain lock still engaged. "What do you want? What do you want?" I inquired coldly. "You ruined my life," she repeated with hatred. "My celebration was policed by you. I was arrested. Your fiancé left you because you were cheating on him." I remarked plainly. That had nothing to do with me. I wasn't dishonest. No meaning in those messages. I almost chuckled at the hallucination. He was just searching for an excuse to bail because of your police incident. My scene, my home was broken into. Unauthorized guests entered my property. Alcohol-using minors were invited. Drugs existed. Your offenses were numerous. Somehow I'm your villain. It was one night, she yelled. A party. You might have ignored it. Once you may have been a good sister. Good sister. You want to chat about being a good sister? Consider respecting property. Are you willing to honor a no? Not committing crimes? She shoved the door, but the chain held. Parents are broke because of you. It's your fault they had to pay all these legal bills and settlements. You made the decisions, I added. You party through. Invited minors. Your event had drugs. You got those repercussions, not me. She cried, crying. I live in their basement. I have no employment. Not engaged. My buddies ignore me. In a minute, I almost felt sorry for her. But then I remembered the broken locks, the mess, and the complete disdain for my property and boundaries. And my pity faded. Your choices ruined your life, I whispered. I'm not responsible for your issues. I locked the door on her screaming and phoned building security to report the event and make sure she was taken from the property. My hands were shaking again, but this time from adrenaline. My spouse emerged from the bedroom after hearing the entire conversation. Well, he inquired gently. No, I said, but I will be. The outcome was unexpected. A lawyer's letter. One parent of a party-attending youngster sued my sister. This parent claimed further damages for emotional distress despite my parents' settlement. I was CC'd to the letter as the property owner, but I wasn't listed a defendant because I rejected permission for the event. My mother called from another new number 2 days later. She's your sister. Family helps family. Family respects family. I said, family doesn't commit crimes against family. Family doesn't enable criminal behavior. You're not asking for help. You're asking me to bail out someone who attacked me. You weren't attacked. Don't be so dramatic. She broke into my property. Mom, that's not drama. That's a fact. And now you want me to pay for her legal defense after everything she's done. After you all helped her do it. We're desperate, Mommy added. She sounded terrified for the first time. We'll lose the house. Your father's heart attack medical costs and your sister's court expenditures. We can't keep up. We require assistance. My father's heart attack made me ache. I sent hospital flowers but didn't visit. Our relationship is stressed by years of favoritism and dismissal. I whispered, that's not my responsibility. You chose your spending. Since you enabled someone who has never been punished, I can't help you. Mom broke up. You're really going to abandon your family after everything we did for you growing up? Everything you did for me? Said I. You mean like taking my college fund to pay for her third car? Missing my graduation to bail her out? Telling me I was selfish for not co-signing her loans? That everything? My mother sobbed. We were helping her. She needed more support than you did. I added, and I needed parents who treated both daughters equally, shocked by my calmness. I'm not paying her legal through my mutual acquaintance, who became my unofficial spy in enemy territory. I discovered more about that fateful night's aftermath. My sister attempted a social media campaign against me, clearly unwilling to acknowledge that she had caused this. Her phony identities on several networks claimed I had abused her and ruined her life over one innocent error. She wrote these long, dramatic postings about her nasty, bitter sister who weaponized the cops over a small mistake and destroyed her engagement and future out of envy and vengeance. She conveniently left out the part where she broke into my property, where there were drugs and children consuming beer, and where she was found cheating on her fiancé. She said that I was a monster who called the police on an innocuous bachelorette party because I was unhappy about not being married first, despised her happiness, and was jealous of her beauty and popularity. In a masterclass of deception and selective narrative, she played the injured innocent, and I, the evil. Those unfamiliar with the story showed her sympathy for a day. Anonymous internet users who raged about poisonous family members and how she deserved better. She undoubtedly screenshotted and shared these favorable comments to further her victimhood campaign. Then a partygoer who saw everything posted the truth. They posted the public police report. They reported narcotics, kids, express refusal, and damaged locks.